Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back into the channel. Today, we are going to be predicting every single NFL game in week 4. We are coming off of a disastrous 7-9 week 3. I got to be honest. Some people will be like, oh, you're just a couple games away from 500. 500 when you're picking straight money lines isn't the goal. You want to be 75 to 80% accurate. So a losing week at 7-9 is probably the worst week that I have had picking NFL games in a very, very, very long time. There were some upsets. The Browns beating the Packers. When was I ever going to pick that? I tried to get cute and pick the Titans to beat the Colts. What was I doing there? I don't know. But let's hop in to week 4 NFL action. Starting with the Thursday night football game, the Seattle Seahawks travel to Arizona to take on the Cardinals. Both of these teams come in with a record of 2-1. Seattle is coming off of an absolute romping of the New Orleans Saints, whereas Arizona is coming in off of a loss on a field goal at the gun to the 49ers, who were led by Mac Jones. Seattle has won 7 straight games against Arizona coming into this game. So the Seahawks, whether it's McDonald, Darnold, Geno, whoever, have had Kyler and Arizona's number pretty much for a very long time here. When I look at this game, I do think that both of these teams are fringe playoff teams, and I wouldn't be shocked if one of them made it to the playoffs in the NFC and was a really tough out, to be completely honest with you. I've actually been impressed by different spots in both of these teams. For Seattle, their offense has worked better than I thought that it was going to. I came into the year very skeptical of how is a Darnold offense with, not a perfect offensive line like Minnesota had last year, and not an offensive mind like Kevin O'Connell going to work. How is it going to work with the JSN and Cooper Kupp instead of Justin Jefferson, Addison, Hockenstein? Those were real concerns. And Darnold, to his credit, has played some pretty solid football. I'm not saying it's MVP numbers like last year, but the guy is playing winning football. You go to the other side, you go to the Cardinals. Their defense has improved, as we kind of all predicted it would, with Gannon coming in. Will Johnson right now, their second round pick, looks like he could be the frickin' defensive rookie of the year, maybe a steal for them at corner. Kyler's been playing okay football. Some of the things, the interception he had versus Carolina in the fourth quarter that almost led to them coming back is obviously his fault, but it's not his fault that Marvin Harrison Jr. forgot who he is. I'm excited to see if Marv can get back to who he is. Other than that, though, Trey McBride is the number 1 option for this team. They lose James Conner last week. Now Trey Benson, it is his time to take over. I know a lot of Cardinals fans probably thought he was going to be the successor at this point anyways, but obviously you'd rather have Benson and Conner than just Benson. Now, when it comes to the pick for this game, Seattle is favored by 1.5 points, and I think that that's right. I do think that Seattle is going to win this game. I think it's going to be a fun game, a close game. I have the Seahawks taking it 23-20 in this spot, but ultimately, this is going to come down to I have a little bit more faith in Seattle's defense, and I have a little bit more faith in Seattle's quarterback, and I have a lot more faith in Seattle's wide receiver 1, JSN, to get it done. Give me Seattle Thursday night prime time. We then got our first morning game on a Sunday, the Dublin game. The 2-1 Minnesota Vikings go and take on the 2-1 Pittsburgh Steelers. JJ McCarthy obviously still out for the Vikings at this point. Carson Wentz will be the guy. Didn't matter at all for Minnesota last week as they put an absolute beat down on the Cincinnati Bengals. Isaiah Rodgers with a 99.9 PFF graded game, the highest game in history. The defensive line was getting home. Brian Flores made Jake Browning and Zach Taylor's life a living hell. And then the offense was efficient enough. Jordan Mason had a really solid day, and Carson Wentz was able to say, where's 18? Let me feed him the ball. Makes sense to me. That would be my offensive strategy as well if I was coming in as a backup quarterback for this team. And for Pittsburgh, listen, dude, they find themselves at 2-1, and I've been a little critical of Pittsburgh. I don't fully believe in this team, but they're one of 6 teams in the AFC that has a positive record. And if they could leave this game 3-1, it almost feels like to me they're going to be a shoo-in to be a playoff team just because of how much stuff has already gone down in the AFC. Like I said, only 6 teams in that conference have a positive record. And one of the other teams is the Cincinnati Bengals. And even though I don't fully believe in the Steelers, I believe in them more than the Jake Browning Bengals at this point in time. And if Pittsburgh could get a win and the Ravens could lose and they got a 2-game lead in the division through the first month, I'm not saying it would happen. I'm just, every game counts at the end of the day. When I look at this game, I think that the number one key to how the outcome will be is, can the Pittsburgh Steelers offense stay on schedule, stay on a script, get solid completions, and not get behind, schedule, I should say, against the Minnesota Vikings? Because that Minnesota Vikings pressure, they're going to try and come after the 41-year-old Aaron Rodgers, who has certainly lost a step at quarterback. He's fine when he has a clean pocket right now and things are on schedule. The offense moves the ball, but he is statistically the worst quarterback in the NFL when facing pressure, and it's not particularly close at this point in time. And Minnesota loves to get after the quarterback. So that's not exactly a recipe for success. And for Pittsburgh's defensive side of the ball, can you take away the safety blanket that is Jordan Mason? Can you make Carson Wentz have to make plays in 3rd down and 7, 3rd down and 8? Or is everything going to be 3rd down and manageable for Carson Wentz? That way Kevin O'Connell could say, here, we're drawing this up. If you don't see Jefferson, here's Hawkinson. If you don't see Hawkinson, here's this. And he could quickly get through the progressions. Obviously, the Vikings offense looked better last week with Carson Wentz. Is that meaning Carson Wentz is better than J.J. McCarthy? Or does that mean that Christian Darrisaw means a lot more to the offense? I'll let you decide that one. I'm going to take the Minnesota Vikings in this game. I believed in the Minnesota Vikings this offseason for the reason that we saw them win last week. I think there's too much talent on the roster. I don't really trust Pittsburgh's offense at this point in time. I think the Vikings defense is the reason they win this game. Give me the Vikings to win 24-13 in Dublin. A battle of 2 3-0 teams as the Philadelphia Eagles head to Tampa Bay to take on the Buccaneers. Both of these teams are pretty banged up right now. I do believe Tristan Wirfs and Chris Godwin are coming back this week for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but they're still down a couple of offensive linemen. Mike Evans isn't suiting up for them in this game. On the Philly side of things, they are out Nolan Smith, probably their best edge rusher, I would say, for this game. Jacorian Bennett, their 3rd corner, is out. And we don't even know if Adoree Jackson is playing at this point in time. So if he's not, it's going to be Keely Ringo or Eli Ricks off the practice squad playing for that team, which is not a matchup, no matter which way you look at it, that is favorable. No matter who Tampa Bay is throwing out there at wide receiver, the feels temperature for the game is slated to be like 103 degrees is what it's going to feel like. Both of these teams are coming off of crazy week 3 wins. Obviously, Philly, the 19-point comeback, the blocked field goal at the end. Tampa Bay, another week, another Baker Mayfield 4th quarter comeback-led drive. And here we are. Both of these teams are 3-0. Both of these quarterbacks, I truly believe, should be in the MVP conversation. Both of these teams' rushing attacks have not been what they want them to be at this point in time. Something's got to give in this football game. I picked against Philly last week thinking that the offense wasn't going to be able to move the ball. They hadn't figured it out yet. And then in the second half of that game, the Eagles showed me that they figured it out. And while I do believe that the Buccaneers are a good team, when you win on 3 4th quarter drives from Baker Mayfield to close out the game, you could very just as easily have not had those drives and be 0-3. I feel like Philly's 3-0 is a little bit more concrete. I like the talent on the roster a little bit better. And this is a matchup that, yes, Tampa has owned Philly in the regular season. I'm going to say that the Eagles get their win here. They're 17-0 in the last 17 games that Jalen Hurts has played start to finish. In every single game that Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, A.J. Brown, and Devonta Smith have played start to finish, the team is 20-0. The offensive talent is just going to be too much in this game. Give me the Philadelphia Eagles to go into Tampa Bay and pick up a win 30-24, stopping a Baker Mayfield touchdown drive at the end of the game. The Washington Commanders, 2-1, travel to Atlanta to take on the Falcons. Jaden Daniels did practice yesterday. I'm recording this Thursday morning, so is he going to play? I don't know, but I'm going to lean that Jaden Daniels is going to be back for this game, but it does not look like that his wide receiver 1 Terry McLaurin will be there. Terry McLaurin got shut down by AJ Terrell last year in this matchup, week 17, so They won the game without him basically last year, but he was out there on the field taking the AJ Terrell coverage away from other options. But they have Debo, Zach Ertz, Bill Krowski. They got pieces out there in Washington. The Washington's defensive line, by the way, one of the things that I came in skeptical into the year about was how Washington's defense would perform. And credit to Dan Quinn, man, that defensive line is balling out right now for Washington. Atlanta is kind of the bigger story here in my estimation. I had to deal all offseason with people telling me, oh, that Atlanta team's coming. They're coming for Tampa Bay. You're an idiot for picking Tampa Bay to win that division because Atlanta's offense is going to be too good. Guys, through 3 weeks, Atlanta has 42 points. That's 5 less than the New Orleans Saints. That's 20 less than the Carolina Panthers. That's 30 less than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And that's 38 less than this Washington Commanders team who had Marcus Mariota play a game for them. This offense is not it. Is it Michael Penix? Is it Zach Robinson? I don't know. The play calling is atrocious. But is the play calling atrocious because Michael Penix won't go under center and is too limited? Because every time they go under center, I believe it's like a 90% run rate. And every time they go in shotgun, the teams know that they're passing. Their offense was this predictable last year with Kirk Cousins, which leads me to believe that this is a Zach Robinson issue. And a lot of Falcons fans and a lot of people said Kirk Cousins post Achilles, you couldn't run a complex offense with him. Yet Michael Penix is in, and now they're running the same dull offense. And to cap that off, Michael Penix is playing some dog shit football. That game versus Carolina was terrible. I don't know what he was reading. That pick 6 to the flat, 3 seconds late on the route, not even looking. What are you doing? Michael Penix was the 8th pick in the draft. You can't have games where you're that bad. You could have down days, but Michael Penix was looking like a backup's backup in that game, truthfully, against the Carolina Panthers defense, who through the first 2 weeks looks like one of the worst units in football. So am I worried about Michael Penix Jr.? Absolutely. That is a game that sounds the alarms. 30-0, 7 errant throws. Yeah, dude. You have to be worried about Michael Penix. And for that reason, Washington opened at -3.5. They're now -1.5. I'm going to take Washington to win this football game. I think Jaden plays. I'll take him even with Mariota, to be completely honest. I'm going to say Jaden plays. That's going to reflect in my score prediction here. Give me the Commanders to win 28-17. I think it's a double-digit victory, and I think next week Zach Robinson may be relieved of his duties as offensive coordinator. The 0-3 New Orleans Saints travel to Buffalo to take on the 3-0 Buffalo Bills. This may be a slaughter fest. You could see there the spread for the game is -15.5. People, it opened at -14.5. People are betting Buffalo up because, guys, this is a college game. This is Alabama versus Wilkes University, my alma mater. These are two different tiers, guys. This is D1 versus D3. This is Super Bowl aspirations versus #1 pick in the draft aspirations. This is not even making an octo box at 1 o'clock after the first quarter because Buffalo has already put the game to bed. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about it. I will say this. I think it may be Spencer Rattler's last game, potentially. I actually don't think Rattler's played terrible, but I do think when you go 0-4 and you drafted a rookie quarterback, maybe you start to let him play. James Cook's probably going to eat in this game, and Alvin Kamara is a name that I'm looking at as a potential trade candidate if the Saints decide to go fire sale, but give me Buffalo to win this game 31-10. I don't think it's close. I think it very much so resembles the Jets game 2 weeks ago. Yeah, 2 weeks ago? Yeah, 2 weeks ago where Buffalo got out to a lead and then just kind of coasted the rest of the day. The 1-2 Cleveland Browns travel to Detroit to take on the 2-1 Detroit Lions. The Cleveland Browns defense, man, they absolutely stifled Green Bay last week. They were getting home. Myles Garrett, dare I say, looks the best he's ever looked. This guy is an absolute freak. You could see why Cleveland gave him the money they did. You could see why Cleveland was like, we're not trading this guy. Mason Graham's looking pretty solid. Carson Schlesinger. So those guys that they drafted on the defensive line. Quinshawn Judkins, now that he's in the system, he already leads all rookie running backs in rushing yards. The guy's got one less game played. So the Browns have some young talent that there is to be happy about. And Joe Flacco's the QB right now. Joe Flacco's not great. If the Browns got a quarterback who is just middle of the pack, man, just middle of the pack, 15th, 16th in the NFL, they're a playoff team. They're a playoff team. I'll say it. They don't have that. So when I look at this game, the Browns got me thinking, man, because I picked the Packers with so much confidence last week, and the Browns just stifled everything they wanted to do. The play of this game in the trenches is going to be absolutely electric. Myles Garrett in that Browns defensive line against Penei Sewell and that Lions offensive line. Like, get your popcorn ready, because every one of those snaps, I think that's where this game is won and lost, in the trenches. Can Detroit do what they did to Baltimore? Detroit on a short week as well. Oh man, feels a little trap gamey to me. I'm going to pick Detroit. I'm not going to overthink it. I'm just going to pick the team with more talent, the team with the better quarterback, the team whose head coach I like more. But I think the game is closer than the spread dictates. The spread has it as a 10-point game. I think it's a slop fest. I think that the Lions defense is worse than the Packers, so I do think the Browns are able to move the ball a little bit more. Give me the Lions to win 21-14. But man, I think this game's more competitive than people think. We got the Carolina Panthers at 1-2 traveling to Foxborough to take on the 1-2 New England Patriots. My thought here is whoever loses this game, their season's basically over. I do a tier list every single Tuesday where I tier rank every single team. I already have the Carolina Panthers in the mock draft season tier, which is the bottom tier of the league. But if New England loses this game, they're down there. Like right now, they're one tier up. And if you want to check that video out, check that out. If you love the NFL and you're not yet subscribed to this YouTube channel, hit that button. Best free way to support the channel is to always hit the like button. Now, Drake May. Drake may be. That is what Cousin Sal called him. Drake may be good. I do think that Drake May has shown flashes this year. And I think when you look at the counting stats right here, you can see it. 77 for 106, 5 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He's got 87 rushing yards on the year. I think Drake May is doing what he can with what he has. I do think he has one of the poorest offensive lines in football. I like Will Campbell, but he's obviously had some tough weeks early on in the season here. The run game behind him, Ramondre Stevenson, 2 fumbles, Antonio Gibson, a fumble last week, tipped interception in that game. Like, Drake May is not getting the help that he needs to succeed. The wide receiver room, again, a problem for New England. They don't have a consistent number one option. Stephon Diggs just isn't that anymore. Kayshon Boutte, not that. Pop Douglas, not that. Any of the other wide receiver 3s on their roster, not that. Hunter Henry's their leading receiver through 3 weeks with 165 receiving yards. It's cool. It's not going to cut it for a playoff level offense, but they play the Carolina Panthers this week, who through the first 2 weeks of the season, you could have argued were the very worst team in football. But then last week versus Atlanta, they showed life. The offense still didn't impress me. Bryce Young is off to a bad start to open the season. I was hoping for better for Bryce, truthfully, after last year when we saw the team play much better. But it's just not there. Chuba Hubbard's cool. Tedero McMillan's fine. I'm just delaying the pick here because I don't know who I want to go with. I'm going to go New England. I'm going to go New England here. I think Drake May is better than Bryce Young. I think Mike Vrabel's better than Dave Canales. And when I don't know who to pick, I'm going to lean there. The spread's 5.5 for New England. I don't know if I love that. I think I would take Carolina plus the points. New England 23-21 in this game. In a game that I thought was going to be not entertaining at all, but all of a sudden is must-watch TV, the 3-0 Chargers travel to New York to take on the 0-3 Giants. And as crazy as it sounds, we're not talking about the Chargers to open this up because Jackson Dart is getting his first ever NFL career start in this game. Brian Daboll has already come out and say that Jackson Dart is going to be the starter for the rest of the season. Russell Wilson's the backup. Please trade Jameis Winston to the Cincinnati Bengals. So, can Dart play? I don't know. But the New York Giants said, we're throwing this kid right into the fucking fire of the Los Angeles Chargers defense, which might be the best defense in football through 3 weeks, by the way. They don't give anything up easy. Derwin James is playing at an absolute all-pro caliber level. I mean, thank God for Jackson Dart that Khalil Mack is on the IR and not available for this game, because talk about a welcome to the league moment if you had to face Khalil Mack. Khalil Mack is I mean, we all know Khalil Mack's a freak. I saw him on the sideline of that Denver game just in like street clothes, and that man looked like he could have ripped me in half if he wanted to. Can Dart succeed? Over the long term, I think so. The Giants' young offensive core, Dart 22, Scat 23, Neighbors 22, Wan'Dale Robinson 24, a young defensive line that has Abdul Carter on it. Like, the Giants, I think, have the core pieces. However, in this game, they are matched up, in my estimation, with one of the 3 best teams in football so far this season. The Chargers are 3-0, and the Chargers are 3-0 against Kansas City, against the Raiders, and against the Broncos. 2 of which of those teams I think are solid teams, and I still think could be playoff teams. I don't really believe in the Raiders, but, you know, the Raiders, it was their home opener. Energy was there. Justin Herbert, I think, is the MVP of the league through 3 weeks. Justin Herbert, you know, I believe this season has elevated to that elite tier. I believe Herbert, what he does with his legs, now that he's healthy, the escapability, the precision on his throws, his ability to read defenses, it's all coming together. And we already knew he had the intangibles of the size, the strength, the arm talent. That was all there. The throw that he had to Keenan Allen, escaping, rolling out to his left, throwing on the run, getting almost hit on the elbow to deliver a precision dart to Keenan Allen to win that game. Those are the kinds of plays that MVPs make. And that's why I'm comfortable putting J. Herb in the MVP conversation. Omarion Hampton seemed to get going last week. Can this offense be two-dimensional? That's still a question mark I have. I love their wide receiver trio, Quinton Johnston, Keenan Allen, Ladd McConkey. They've been playing solid. I will take the Chargers to win this game. I'm excited to see Dart play, but I think it looks a little messy week 1. Giants fans, don't bail on this guy. Your team's throwing him out in the slaughterhouse immediately. Give me the Chargers to win this game 28-10 in New York. The 0-3 Tennessee Titans travel to Houston to take on the 0-3 Texans. The Texans just this week released C.J. Gardner-Johnson because some shit wasn't right in that locker room. I think the defense has been playing fine, but he obviously gave up a big play versus Jacksonville and some shit was going on there. I think the defense is going to live. I think it's going to be all right. The offense for the Houston Texans is obviously the issue here. They have to win this game. You know, traditionally at 0-3, your season's over. Considering the AFC right now, if the playoffs started, a 1-2 team would be in there because they only have 6 teams with a 500 record or better. I'm not going to say 0-3, it's over. 0-4, it's over. 0-4, losing at home to the Tennessee Titans, it's over. This is an absolute must-win game for the Houston Texans, and you could see it reflected in the spread. People know this. People are in on Houston. I think DeMeco Ryans is a good coach. I think CJ Stroud's a good quarterback. I think that, unfortunately, the best situation that CJ Stroud has had in his career was his rookie season. Nico, Tank Dell, Tunsil playing the way he was, people not seeing them coming. Whereas right now, there's no weapon outside of Nico Collins that I trust. There's no run game. The offensive line is worse than it was his rookie season. The defense is better, but the CJ Stroud is in a position similar to that of Patrick Mahomes right now. The problem is Patrick Mahomes has weapons coming back. CJ's just kind of stuck in this, but I digress. Where every play, every possession, every set of downs, he has to be great to excellent, or they're cooked. And he hasn't been great to excellent. He's been bad to good. And when you have a good roster around you and you're on the rookie contract, bad to good can get you to the playoffs. You don't have that. He's so young that I know that the team will figure it out, but you hate to think about wasting a year of him so young on a rookie contract when you know he's so talented. The rushing attack, Nick Chubb ain't it. Wash. Just start giving the ball to Woody Marks. They have to get another receiver going. I think it's going to be Christian Kirk based on the target share. Jacksonville's defense, it does look kind of legit, to be honest. So maybe this is a get-right game for Houston. It better be. For the Titans, Cam Ward, I feel for you, brother, man. I feel for you. About a 50% completion percentage isn't great, but who you throwing to? Calvin Ridley, washed. Elik Ayamanar, probably your wide receiver one. The run game, not really there. I don't know if it's Tony Pollard's fault. The offensive line isn't great. The Callahans, I don't believe in them. I don't believe in them. Must-win spot for Houston. Give me the Texans in this game to go out there and get a win, 21-10. A really fun game here. The 3-0 Indianapolis Colts travel to Los Angeles to take on the 2-1 Rams. This is the game where we find out, are the Colts contenders or are the Colts pretenders? The Indianapolis Colts are 3-0, and I take nothing away from them to open up the year because they are better even at this. Even if they lose to the Rams, even if they get boat raced by the Rams, the Colts are still better than 85-90% of people gave them credit for. However, they are 3-0, but the combined record of all their opponents is 1-8. They beat the Dolphins and the Titans, possibly the two worst teams in the league. So I'm not ready to jump on the Colts are one of the best teams in football. Colts have one of the best records in football, but are they one of the best teams in football? I don't know. The offense has been uber efficient. 2007 Patriots numbers efficient. Daniel Jones is the first player in the Super Bowl era to have 3 passing touchdowns, 3+ rushing touchdowns, and 0 turnovers through 3 weeks. So he has come into this Steichen offense and been top tier. Jonathan Taylor is having an Offensive Player of the Year season, 338 rushing yards. That's more than a lot of teams in football has through 3 weeks. He's looking like a stud, like the engine that's driving the offense. You got guys like Pittman, Warren, Downs, Pierce, Adonai Mitchell. The weapons are there. The offensive line's playing good. Lou Anarumo has that defense playing solid football. I just want to see it against a solid football team, which I think Denver is that, but Denver's record right now doesn't reflect that. I know the Rams are that. The Rams probably should be 3-0. And their wins have come against Houston's solid defense. Who'd they beat in week 2? Why am I blanking on this? Who did the Rams beat in week 2? Why am I blanking on this? Let's the Titans. Okay. Well, Titans aren't exactly solid. But I do think that they should have beaten the Eagles. So Matt Stafford, we know who he is. Puka, Devontae, Kyron, great offense. Defensive line has been so stout so far this year. It's a huge test for the Colts. And I picked against the Colts last week, and I picked the Titans. And Colts fans, you could make fun of me in the comment section for that. I'm unfortunately going to do it again. I am going to take the Rams to win this game. I do think it's close. I'm going to take the Rams to win 27-23. I think it's a fun game. I think the Colts show that they can hang. But at the end of the day, I trust Stafford more than Dimes. Still. The 2-1 Jacksonville Jaguars travel to San Francisco to take on the 3-0 49ers. Brock Purdy, I think, is going to be back for this game. I don't really fully know. They won't have George Kittle. I know that. They won't have Brandon Ayuk. I know that. Nicky Bosa, unfortunately, tore his ACL. His season is over. Yet this team keeps winning football games, man. Kyle Shanahan, I think that a lot of credit goes to him and Robert Saleh for their coaching to be able to be 3-0 against some good teams, man. The combined record of the 49ers teams that they faced is 4-5, meaning in games where they're not facing the Niners, they're 4-2. So that's solid. Obviously, their division seems pretty loaded. They're 3-0, and then every other team's 2-1. They beat the Seahawks. They beat the Cardinals. Like, they're winning against teams that I think are solid, even with all the injuries that they're having. Mac Jones has played really solid when he's had to. Brock Purdy's obviously the better player there. Christian McCaffrey, what he's doing through the rushing and receiving game is solid. Ricky Pearsall has absolutely come in and balled out now that he's coming into the season healthy and fully ready to go. And then you get to the Jaguars, who are 2-1, probably should be 3-0, but I don't know if I could trust them. You know, shout out Metro Boomin, shout out Future. We don't trust you. That's how I feel about the Jaguars. I was completely wrong about which parts of this team that I would trust. I thought I would trust the offense, and the defense would let me down. The defense has been nails for this Jaguars team. The pressure that they're constantly getting from Trayvon Walker and Josh Hines-Allen, like, it is there. The defense has been solid. They lead the NFL in forced turnovers. They've been playing some great ball. The rushing attack has been there. ETN has been solid. Tootin's been all right. It's there. This passing offense has left so much on the board. And I don't know if that means, hey, it's been a fluky couple of weeks and eventually this Jaguars team is going to look legit, or if it's like, hey, this is who Trevor Lawrence and these wide receivers are. They're always going to hold back this team. I don't know. Trevor Lawrence has a lot of errant throws that are his bad. Trevor Lawrence also has receivers that continue to drop 5 to 6 passes a game. When that is what you are combining, it is tough to win in the National Football League. And the fact that they're 2-1, I think it's a credit to Liam Cohen. I think he's a good coach. I don't know if he's got his QB. I don't know if he's got his wide receivers, but I think he's a good coach. In this spot, though, I'm going to go with the team that I trust more at this point in time. And that's the San Francisco 49ers. Because with Mac Jones or with Brock Purdy, they've been solid. They've been consistent. Christian McCaffrey is the best player on either offense. Ricky Pearsall has been more trustworthy this season than Brian Thomas. That defense in San Francisco has been playing good ball. Salah's got those boys coached up. And I think the Nick Bosa injury probably limits the 49ers ceiling from ever being a real Super Bowl contender. But to me, they feel like a for sure playoff team. Jacksonville, I'm not sold on it. Give me the Niners to win this game 28-20 in San Francisco. All right, this might be the game of the weekend. The 1-2 Baltimore Ravens, led by Lamar Jackson, travel to Arrowhead, travel to Kansas City to take on the 1-2 Patrick Mahomes-led Kansas City Chiefs. For starters, I love the fact as an NFL fan that one of these teams is going to leave this game 1-3. And no, it's not because I'm a hater. These are two of the three best quarterbacks in football, and we are going to get to see one of them with their backs against the wall, and that excites me. What do you do through adversity? What do the premier players in the league do when shit gets tough? That excites me to find out. Truthfully, it does. Lamar, been nails this year. 54-75, 9 touchdowns already. 722 passing yards. I didn't think he played particularly great versus Detroit, to be honest. I thought a lot of the sacks were on him, but Lamar is Lamar. It was a bad game for Lamar standard. It would be a great game for a lot of quarterback standard. Derrick Henry. He's solid. Fumbled in 3 straight games. Maybe fumbled away 2 wins for them. Zay Flowers is decent. Matabuke is out, which is a big loss for them in terms of generating a pass rush and getting after Patrick Mahomes. In terms of, we saw that defensive line this past week. They got bullied around by Detroit. Now, Detroit's offensive line is better than Kansas City's offensive line, but that trench battle right there is something to watch. Can Kansas City run the football? Kansas City hasn't been able to run the football all freaking year, man. If they could run the ball in this game, and that offense is two-dimensional, and instead of it being 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, Mahomes save us. Mahomes, can you be Superman? And it's 3rd and 3, Mahomes just read the defense and make the right play. Kansas City's offense is going to move a hell of a lot better than it has been. Yeah, it is. The Baltimore Ravens defense has been booty cheeks to open up the year. I believe in every category, they are 28th to 32nd in football. This is a defense, by the way, that coming into the season was loaded. All-star level defense. Pro Bowl level defense. Not playing like it. For the Chiefs, Mahomes has had to carry. You see there, he still leads the team in passing and rushing. That's a problem. The leading receiver for the team, by the way, let me pull this up. Tyquan Thornton. That's a problem. That's a problem. Tyquan Thornton is leading receiver. The Kansas City Chiefs offense has been, statistically, it's been mid. On the eye test, it's been bad. There is at least help on the way for them. I'm more worried about Baltimore's defense than I am the Chiefs' offense because there's help on the way. Worthy's going to be back this week. You have Rashee Rice, and you could probably make a trade for a running back. For Baltimore, they already got the players. They're just not playing. And I don't know if this is how Zach Orr's defenses are going to work, where it's going to take a bunch of adjustments every year. I thought last year was new defensive coordinator, new pieces, and then they figured it out. And I thought Baltimore was going to come into this year with that figured out defense. They did not. Baltimore's favored by 2.5 points on the road in this game. I think that's a mistake. I think the Chiefs being home dogs is a mistake in this particular game because I don't think Baltimore is playing great football. Truthfully, I don't. And again, it's two of the better offenses in football, but they let Detroit hang 38 on them and they let Buffalo hang 41 on them. They beat the Browns, but it wasn't as convincing as the final score would tell you it was. Kansas City, however, they're 1-2, but their 2 losses came, in my estimation, to 2 of the 3 best teams in football, the Chargers and the Eagles, and they were close. I believe they're both 1-score games. I don't know if that Chargers game was officially 1 score or if we were at 9 points, but it was a close football game. Anybody that watched it will tell you that. And then they manhandled the Giants like they're supposed to. Here's my thing. Who do I trust more, Lamar or Patrick? Patrick. Who do I trust more? Andy Reid or John Harbaugh? Andy Reid. Whose defense do I trust more? Kansas City's. When those 3 things align to me, sorry, it's going to be really hard for me to pick against that team. And with Worthy back and that slight tweak and a Chiefs team that I think will be able to run the ball this week better than they've been able to, when you look at who they've been up against, the Chargers, who have one of the better defensive fronts in football, and nobody's been able to run on them. Philly, Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Nolan Smith was out there. An elite defensive line. The Giants, Dexter Lawrence, Brian Burns, Abdul Carter. Like, they have faced 3 really good defenses and really good defensive lines to open the season. Baltimore on paper should be that, but no Matabuke in this game. I don't know about Van Noy, but I certainly know you could run the ball over them. Look at what Jared Goff and that Lions offense did last week. 2 drives of 90-plus yards. You can keep Lamar off the field. You can control the clock. Do I trust Patrick Mahomes to be efficient? I do. Give me the Chiefs in this football game. Give me Kansas City 28-24 over Baltimore. Okay. The 1-2 Chicago Bears travel to Vegas to take on the 1-2 Raiders. The Bears seemingly figured their shit out last week in terms of at least the passing attack. Caleb Williams actually having a solid season, 59-93, 7 touchdowns, only 1 pick. Rome Odunze looking like a freaking superstar. My guy Rome, 227 on 16 catches for 4 touchdowns to open up the season. How you done? How you done? I like the Bears. You guys know this. I trust the Bears. I believe in the Bears. I don't believe in the Raiders. I don't think Geno Smith's that great. The offensive line has been absolute trash. Ashton Jeanty has 144 rushing yards on the season. Ashton Jeanty has 145 rushing yards after contact on the season. Do you see the problem? If you don't, I don't know what to tell you. Give me the Bears to go into their bye week at 2-2. Give me the Bears to go into Vegas and win this football game. Chicago shows another good offensive output before the bye week. 35-17 over the Raiders. It looks dominant in Chicago. Looks like a real playoff team. Been waiting all day for Sunday night. The Green Bay Packers travel to Dallas to take on the Cowboys. Micah Parsons, revenge game. Jerry Jones, gonna be there. CeeDee Lamb, gonna be on the bench. Packers, coming off of a bad loss. What do we do with good teams coming off a bad loss? Hammer down. I'm not going to be climactic here. I think the Packers come into Dallas and beat the absolute brinks off of the Dallas Cowboys. That defense has gotten worse and worse as the season has gone on. Matt Eberflus ain't it. That offense without CeeDee Lamb ain't it. The Green Bay Packers, I think the Green Bay Packers are a much better team, but I think it's a terrible matchup because everything that Green Bay wants to do, they're going to be able to do. They're going to be able to get pressure on Dak. Guys aren't going to be open because they're already great in coverage. Jordan Love likes to let that thing air it out. Matthew Golden, you down there somewhere. I think Matthew Golden gets his first touchdown this week, by the way. Tucker Kraft, you down there somewhere. Romeo Dobbs, let me sling that rock. Josh Jacobs is going to be able to do his thing. And the Packers are going to dominate this game. It's going to be another Sunday Night Football game that at halftime you're like, do I go to bed? Do I not go to bed? Because Green Bay is going to win 34-13 in Dallas. We got a Monday Night Football doubleheader that I think a lot of people are going to complain about, but the second game would have been good had Joe Burrow not, absolutely gotten his toe ligaments shredded. This game was always going to suck. The 0-3 Jets versus the 0-3 Miami Dolphins. Two piss-poor franchises. I don't know if Justin Fields is playing. He's not good. I think the Jets are a quarterback away from being a potential playoff team. So, apologies there, Jets fans. I like Breece Hall, I like Garrett Wilson. I like Aaron Glenn for that defense. Miami, desperate again. Long week, home team. I'm going to take the Dolphins in this spot. Again, they're the more rested team. Even though I don't like Tua, I think he's a better quarterback than who the Jets currently have. I think Miami is desperate. I think Mike McDaniel is coaching for his job. Whereas Aaron Glenn's got a little bit of security there. I think it's a close game. I don't think it's a fun game. Give me the Dolphins 24-16 in this one. I think it's a one-score win, but I'll roll with the Fins. And then lastly, we got the 2-1 Cincinnati Bengals traveling to Denver to take on the 1-2 Denver Broncos. Jake Browning in this spot. I think that this might be the game that the Bengals say, let's go get Jameis Winston. I think Jake Browning stinks. I know that he came in for the Bengals a couple years ago and led them to, I believe, a 4-3 or 5-3 record, and they were able to steady the ship. He's not good. He throws way too many interceptions for my liking. Threw 3 versus Jacksonville, 2 versus Minnesota. Chase Brown can't run behind that offensive line as it is, but teams are really going to be able to just stack the box because Jake Browning cannot be trusted. Free Jamar Chase, free T. Higgins. If the Broncos don't win this game, I'm in a full-on panic mode. The Broncos are 1-2, but their 2 losses have both been close enough that I think you could argue they could be 3-0, and you could certainly argue they could be 2-1 with that Colts game. They shot themselves in the foot how many times in that missed field goal, but then they had the penalty, and then it was a 45-yard. Like, that's a one where you're like, yeah, Denver probably should have won that game and probably wins it 8 times out of 10. Bo Nix isn't playing great football, but Bo Nix knows he isn't playing great football, and I think him and Sean Payton are both kind of neurotic in the sense of they're going to try and fix it. I like Dobbins. I like Harvey. Sutton is solid. Ultimately, the Broncos defense should give Jake Browning fits, and I don't think that this game is going to be particularly close. I don't think it should be. If it is, maybe there's some cause for concern if you're the Denver Broncos. Give me the Broncos to win this game 27-16 on Monday night. Those are all the week 4 matchups. Let me know what you think of my predictions in the comment section down below. Drop yours in the comment section down below. If you're not already subscribed to this YouTube channel and you made it through a 40-minute video, you clearly like what you're hearing enough. Hit that subscribe button. At least hit the like button because, again, if you're here after 40 minutes and you didn't like it, what are you doing? Why are you still here? Why am I still here? I'll catch you next time. Peace.